Welcome back to In Business. The great singer-songwriter Neil Sedaka produced a massive hit back in the 60s entitled Breaking Up is Hard to Do. It's hard to do in any situation, but mix in a business and now you've really got a headache on your hands. If you'd like to join the conversation and ask a question or make a comment, call us at 905-848-5483. That's 905-848-LIVE. Or you can tweet your question to @DavidVojcik or use the hashtag RTV in Business. In the studio to help us understand how to lose your spouse and keep your business are two experts. Mary Tassini is an associate lawyer with Feldstein's Family Law Group. Mary focuses on issues regarding divorce, custody, and access. Also with us is Andrew Feldstein. Andrew is a graduate of Osgoode Law School and the principal at Feldstein Family Law Group. Welcome to you both. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I know that it seemed from the bios, Mary, you're more into conciliatory practices, and Andrew, I guess you're old school, you like to fight. I don't know what...
Well, I do both. I mean, the first thing you realize when there's a family breakup is it's always difficult and challenging on a family, so you try to reduce conflict. But sometimes you can't reduce conflict, and in that case, you have to have a fight.
So, Andrew, where does it go sideways? Because people, you know, they start off, okay, we're not getting along, and now a business is involved. So now you've got both spouses working in the business, and they can't get along personally, and now you've got the business in the mix, and things are going sideways. What are the real issues at hand when they come to see you?
Well, the first thing you have to find out is who really is the person who owns a business, because you may have two spouses and they're both shareholders of the business, and one of them operates the business on a day-to-day basis, and the other spouse is simply there for tax reasons as a shareholder. That makes it easier because from the framework of looking at that, you realize, practically speaking, the person who runs a business is going to end up with the business. It becomes more difficult when they both have a role in the business, because there are cases where sometimes it ends up being a war within the business. And at the end of the day, it'll be a scorched earth policy where the business may be destroyed. So if that's the situation, you try to bring calm to the situation by saying to everybody, we have to preserve the business. We need to have rules of how the two of you are going to operate the business within conflict. And if that doesn't work, sometimes you have to run to court to get court orders to deal with things.
How do you help people get past that? Because I was doing a show this morning on my radio show. I happened to be on the same topic. and I had a media, and actually one of her clients was on the phone with us as well. And I asked the question, I'll ask you the same question. When one spouse is working in the business and the other spouse is a shareholder for tax purposes but not working in the business, and now all of a sudden the spouse that works the business and owns the business and is working in the business, now all of a sudden that spouse has to pay out half of what the business is worth, plus maybe some alimony and child support, and it just goes on and on. How do you help them understand that, you know, this is the way it is, this is right and fair?
Well, I'm the type of person that doesn't sugarcoat it. So when a client comes into my office at the first consultation, I'll tell them, I could tell you exactly what you want to hear because I usually can tell what someone wants to hear. That's not what they need to hear. They need to know the reality of their situation. And the reality is, if they own a business, they're probably going to have to value it. There goes $7,000 to $10,000 on a valuation. We may have to get a report done as to what their income is. There's another $5,000 to $7,000. Haven't got to me yet in any of that mix. And when they find out what the support obligations are, if their spouse was a traditional stay-at-home spouse, they're going to feel like it's horrific, because if there's two kids, their spouse may end up with more than 50% of their money on a monthly basis after getting the equalization money. But people need to understand there's the reality. Here's the situation you're in, and you got to deal with it for better or for worse.
Mary, do you suppose that your gender helps at all in family law profession? I mean, some people might, and I've met some family law practitioners that are females that are, you know, they're just barracudas as well. You know, they could be as much of a barracuda as a male practitioner. But when you're dealing with family law, do you find that people, you know, just feel, well, you're a woman, you know, you're going to understand this a little bit better than if I go and see some male barracuda that just doesn't understand how I feel. They don't understand what's going on. So I wonder if you feel that your gender in some way plays a part in that.
I think it depends on the clients. I think that when people come to meet with any one of the lawyers in our firm, they're going to have to find someone that fits their personality style. And as you said, a lot of people come in and, as I said before, this is a very trying time, and people want someone there to listen. What I always remind my clients is, I'm not your counselor. I'm here to help you with your family law issues.
But I'm sure they want you to
But
be
of
at
course,
times.
yes, of course they do. And so sometimes, yes, I feel that they want someone that is going to be an ear to listen to them. But our job is to tell them, as Andrew said, tell them the truth, tell them what they need to know to make the decisions. As for whether it helps or not, I know that our area of law is, there's a lot of females in our area of law, and perhaps because, you know, clients feel that they have a better sense of, you know, they're going to be heard, and it's going to be something that females listen to. But, you know, it's basically what has to be done based on what the person wants. You know?
Now, mediation is both parties are going to the same mediator to help to solve an issue. Andrew, can you do that in family law practice as well? Can both parties be represented by the same lawyer?
Absolutely not. How can one lawyer represent two parties' interests? When you talked about mediation, there's two types of mediations that happen in family law. Some of them are the two parties go to the mediator on their own, and that's what Mary was talking about before with make sure the client, when they're going in, has met with a lawyer, been informed and understands their situation, and ideally has provided disclosure. The other type of mediation we frequently are involved is when both lawyers attend with their clients, with a mediator, file extensive briefs in advance telling their theory of the case, and the mediator isn't there to try and facilitate a resolution, but is more strong-arming each side to, this is what I think is going to happen, and you should settle on these terms.
And how often does mediation work?
A lot, because people can't afford the alternative. The alternative is financial Armageddon for most families. So a lot of people, when you do it with the lawyers present in extensive briefs, and you're dealing with an experienced lawyer who's also a mediator, the view is, for a lot of people, I feel like I had my day in court. I was heard, someone got to recognize the legal principles, and I don't want to go forward with this anymore because I just can't afford to.
Mary, we've got about 30 seconds to go. When your clients leave, do they always feel like they were that they got a good deal?
I would hope that they would feel that, but I think the reality...
And nothing to do with the way that you practice law.
Of course. I think the reality is that when families are separating, no one is ever going to feel like they've won. No matter which course of action you take to come to a resolution, it's always a sad state of affairs when people separate, so no one's going to feel like they won, probably.
Andrew, in 15 seconds, your best piece of advice for someone that's in this situation right now.
Love your children more than you hate your former spouse.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much. Andrew and Mary for coming in.